Who are we taking next?
Let's see. Let's go with Candor.
Okay.
In Colorado.
All right. Candor in Colorado. You're live with Eric and V. Hey.
How are you guys?
We're hanging in there. We're
doing well. Yeah, no. That's where y'all is actually a really, really good word.
How are y'all doing?
Yeah, it's one of the only places to address a third party, plural.
Well, there is yous.
No, there's not yous.
There is, because you don't know that.
I don't recognize it.
You don't. This is what we were talking about just a call ago.
This is where the faction breaks in.
All right, Candor, what can we do for you today?
I think I had on my thing something about the importance of having religious tools even as an atheist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm curious what you mean by religious tools.
Yeah, I wanted to go a little deeper into that. So, in psychology, we talk about mindfulness a lot, but it's more than just mindfulness. It's also meditation. Like prayer is a form of meditation. Like all of these tools have been used in all of these different religious formats. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I think atheists, because I used to be one, tend to throw the baby out with the bathwater.
I agree.
I agree to a point. What I'm curious about, Candor, is what does religion have specifically that is not secular as well? Like you talked about meditation, and I agree meditation is something we absolutely need to do, but I don't think it's inherently religious.
It is not inherently religious.
Okay, so are there any inherently religious things that atheists should do?
No, not inherently religious things.
Okay.
I think these are all things that can be done in a secular context.
Ooh,
is how I do these things.
I absolutely, so community building, right? I think that's one, right? The idea of getting groups of people together to, if somebody's sick or on hard times, show up with a casserole and say, hey, you know what, it's going to be okay to get together and do, things, especially people with families who can, I absolutely agree. Yeah. We should do that. And the only place that I'm really able to see it is in either dedicated skeptic groups, which are few and far between, or hobbies. You get baseball, softball people, you get gamers and that kind of thing. But having a secular community center, I agree. Okay. What else?
Yeah. And then there's also things like tarot and divination. So in a religious context, it's like predicting the future and all that kind of stuff. But in a secular context, it's forcing your brain to think about a particular situation in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
So it provides more insight. It's not about necessarily seeing the future. And that's kind of where I break from the theists. That's why I'm a non-theist.
Right. Yeah. I'm curious. I want to dive into this just a little bit, because I agree that in the same way that, we can use any tool and it doesn't have to be inherently religious. I think that tarot for me is one of those things. I love ritual. I love all of that. And I can use it in a secular way. I'm curious though, do you call yourself a non-theist as opposed to an atheist for any specific reason, and is it tied to this conversation at all?
Yes and yes.
Okay.
I call myself a non-theistic Satanist because I adopt the religious trappings of my parents. So
okay.
So like a secular Jew.
Kinda, yeah, actually.
Okay.
If that's the case, I agree. I'm right there with you. I love Christmas.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. But I do feel though, that just like the generic atheist community, as far as I've been able to tell, they even throw away things that okay, hold on. Let me gather my thoughts for a second.
That's okay.
You're okay.
I quote unquote sold my soul to the devil as an atheist. But really what that situation was me coping with a really difficult time of my life. And I used a ring to commemorate the event and like remind myself that I've been like married to this devil kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just a thing to keep me focused on my goals.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I added in all the religious trappings.
Sure.
But it's clearly all just in my head.
Yeah. No, exactly. I think that's a great tactic. I think we do that for everything, and it's just when we get outside of what is expected that people start being like, "Oh, but that looks like witchy shit."
Yeah, but like, I mean, a lot of go ahead.
We do that like we write Post-it notes, right? And we remind ourselves to do things. Or every morning, if I don't get up at a certain time and do like the first 5 things of my day, I have a terrible day because I haven't gotten off on the right foot. And I've found rituals: drink the coffee, check the email, all of these things that my day requires those rituals in order to be a good day. Is the coffee itself making my day good? No, but it helps. And that's how humans are wired. Yeah. And so the only difference, it sounds like, is that you are doing this specifically with kind of maybe a dark religious satanic kind of bent to it. And that's the part that's creeping people out, even though they do it all the time in socially acceptable ways.
That makes me think of is tattoos. A lot of people get tattoos after traumatic events.
Yeah.
And people are just like, oh, well, that it signifies that. So here's my pushback, Candor.
Okay.
You have the ability to create community around you. And this is one that's just starting. We have the ability to create those things. And so othering and saying, hey, the atheist group does this, you can start your own. And it's just as valid. And odds are, if you need it, there are a lot of other people that do too. So I encourage you to. And if you don't have the spoons to, gotcha. You don't have to. But just know that you are not beholden to what is currently existing. If that was the case, we wouldn't
exist.
Have. Yeah. We wouldn't have done the show. We wouldn't have done a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
You got this.
Well, thank you.
And you're part of our community. We consider you one of us. So cheers.
I've been commenting a lot, so I feel like I'm starting to become part of it. So
cheers. Good.
Well, welcome. And I'm excited to hear that other people are approaching things like ritual in the same way that I do, because my hope is that by normalizing it and by talking about it and explaining what we mean when we use these words, we're better able to start providing those tools to people who may be turned off by them elsewhere.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
Candor, this has been an awesome call. Thank you. Take care.
Yeah.
That was nice. This is just like a good feeling episode.
It's just lots of really good conversation.
I needed this, especially after our water heater blew.
Such a day.
I'm really grateful to you all. Thank you.
Okay. Just as a heads up, everybody, we've got about 2 more callers. We also are going to read out any super chats at the end of the episode. So if you want to ask us a question or weigh in or just have us say something silly on air, unless it's like super offensive, feel free to give us a super chat and we will make sure to read that out at the end of the episode.
Absolutely. Please, that would be awesome.
We're trying to say absolutely a little less because I think we bounce off of each other. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah, I've gotten the feedback. We got the feedback. I'm working on it.
We know.